on. So
Here we
Okay.
go. Here we go. Once again, let's have Nishmas. Nis and Dov and Yitzchok Eliezer. Once again. That I already announced, yeah.
Shane Leiva,
Shana Leva Bas,
Gedalia,
Gedalia,
and Dov Bear,
and Dov Bear,
and Yeshayahu.
and Yeshayahu. Okay. So we're going back to the Mishnah on Daf Hey Amud Aleph, and we'll pick it up from there. Since we left off, there was so many weeks in between. We don't want to lose continuity.
it's amazing that you remembered, Rabbi.
No, I know we're a few lines down on the wide lines. I have it marked off, but
Okay.
I think it's important to go back to the beginning of the Mishnah in case anyone wasn't there at that time.
Right.
Okay, so we have from the very beginning of Mesechta, we learned that big cities are reading the Megilah on the 14th, right? Walled cities on the 15th,
Right.
and villages, which are small cities, are capable of reading it beginning with the 11th, 12th, and 13th, and 14th and 15th, but not past the 15th. So now the Mishnah is telling us, so what's the difference between a big city and
Yeah, right behind you.
Okay.
Amen.
What's the difference between a big city and a village? So the Mishnah says, "Ezehu here Gedola." What's considered a big city? So the Mishnah says, "Kol sheyesh ba asara batlonim." Any city that has 10 people known as batlonim. And when we were in the yeshiva, someone was a batlon, it meant he wasn't so good. But here it seems to be a positive thing. Yeah. Why is that? Okay, so there's a famous statement by the Sifsei Chachamim based on a bracha, the Gemorah in Brachas and Avav. The Gemorah in Brachas and Avav says that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes to the Beis HaKnesses and there aren't 10 people in shul in time for minyan, it says miyad koes. He gets angry immediately. So when there are 10 batlonim, meaning when there are 10 people who are not working and are capable of being in shul, and they don't have to work, so they're mevatel the anger of Hashem. That's why they're called asara batlonim. Okay, that's one shot. Okay, pachos mikan, if there's less than 10 to make the steady minyan in the shul, harei kfar. That's a village and can read 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. But elu omru, in reference to these days, meaning in reference to the reading of the Megilah, and we read the Megilah, we know that the Megilah is supposed to be read on the 14th, which is Purim, and on the 15th, which is Shushan Purim. So, but elu omru, on Purim, that's when they said, Makdimin v'lo ma'achrin, that you read it earlier, meaning on 11, 12, and 13, and you can't read later than the 15th.
Right.
We'll see why in the Gemara. Avosman atzei kahanim, but the time when the kahanim bring, it really should be kahanim ve'ha'am, at the time where the kahanim and the people donate wood for the ma'aracha, and that was a Yom Tov too, the Tisha B'Av, or the fast of Tisha B'Av, or Chagiga, or the bringing of the Korban Chagiga on the first day of Yom Tov, in addition to whatever other Korbanos have to be brought. Every time, at the very beginning of Mesechta Chagiga, we learn that when you come to the Beis HaMikdash on the first day of Yom Tov, you have to bring a Korban Chagiga. This Korban, and in addition, the Hakel, the reading of the Torah that is done by the king, by the Melech, on Shmini Atzeres, after Shemitah, after the 7th year, and that's called Hakel, when all Klal Yisrael gets together for the reading of the Torah in the Beis HaMikdash. All of these dates, all of these things, the Zman Atzei Kahanim Ba'am, and Tisha B'Av, and the Chagiga, and Hakel, all of these, Ma'achrin, those are after the Yom Tov. V'lo Magdimin, but we don't make it earlier. Only reading of the Megilah is done a day or 2 or 3 earlier, but none of these other things are earlier, all of these things are done later. Let's take a look at the Rashi very quickly. Be'elu Amru, says Rashi, Bizmanim Shel Megilah, Amru Magdimin Imchol Yudala B'Shabbos. On these days, we say that we read earlier, if the 14th day comes on Shabbos, so then the Megillah is read on the 13th. Yeah. Avos Manatze Kanava Amru Mesechta Tainus, but these days, which are mentioned in the Gemorah and Tainus, Shahayu Mishpachos Shal Yisrael Shakavua Lahem Yomim B'Chol Shana. There were families among the Jewish people that had a set time every single year, Lahavi Eitzim Lemigdash, to bring wood to the Beis Hamikdash L'Tzorach HaMa'arocha, for the needs of the fire on top of the Mizbeach. Even though the Gemara.
That you gotta welcome.
Give me your phone, please. Thank you.
Hardly you did. You turned it off.
But and they were the ones who brought the
Hardly give the phone.
wood.
Hardly give me the phone. The rabbi wants the phone. The rabbi wants the phone. Thank you. No. No, it's not off.
Yeah, it's off before. Mama, you're
Okay, Hartley, you're okay.
no phone allowed him to see you.
Thank you, Simcha.
See my phone off, Hessie?
Yes, you're a good guy. It's unsafe. He's a cat.
Who's the character?
Me.
I have to remember how to shut off your phone.
Judd, you here? You could shut off the phone, maybe? Huh?
It's suffering.
It's not off. It's a hoe. Yeah.
Oh, now I got it.
Yeah.
Malta. My phone.
That's what I do. That's what I do. I put the sound.
No, I start my phone like that.
Uh-huh.
Put on mute.
No, you could do it.
Unmute your phone, no?
Let me
Hessie,
give it to Judd, Rabbi.
you put on
No,
mute.
it's not off.
All right.
Mute.
I don't want to be disturbed, please.
Put on mute.
I'm sorry. Hartley, you have to turn it off before. It takes away from the whole Shiur. Come on. Okay. Okay, so the Rashi says, Shoyim Mishpachos Shel Yisrael Shekavu Lehem Yomim B'Chol Shana Lahavi Eitzim L'Migdash L'Tzorach HaMa'arocha Umeviyin Karban Eitzim Imahem. They would bring a carbon of wood with them. Im Chol Lios B'Shabbos Ma'achin Liyom Achar. If it fell on Shabbos, they would do it the next day. V'chein Tisha B'Av Shechol Lios B'Shabbos. And the same thing would happen on Tisha B'Av that fell on Shabbos. They would move the fast to Sunday. We still do that to this day.
Right.
Okay. Who adin, and Rashi adds an extra piece over here. Who adin liyud zayin b'tamas l'asar b'teves. Oh, the same thing goes, even though, but nevertheless, it goes to Sunday. V'hai denoka Tisha B'Av. Oh, so if it's including all fast days, why did it only mention Tisha B'Av? Mishum the chuchpalu bo tzoros, because Tisha B'Av had a double measure of trouble. V'hakol misanin bo. And everybody fasted on that day. Avo, Sha'ar Tzomos, but all other fast days, meaning Shivas B'Tamas and so on, Aminim Mesechta Rosh Hashanah. The Gemara says in Rosh Hashanah, Ratzu Misanim, Ratzu Ein Misanim. If they want to fast, they can fast. You don't want to fast, you don't want to fast. And we bring down, it's brought down in Siman Tavkuf Nun, that in the Mishnah Brewer in Sif Cotton Olive, the Hayom, today we already everybody accepted that we do fast. Now, you could say, based on the Gemara, Ratzu Misanim, Ratzu Ein Misanim, but today everybody fasts. Next, the Chagiga, when it comes to the bringing of the carbon Chagiga, Im Chol Yom Tov B'Shabbos, if Yom Tov falls on Shabbos, says Rashi, the first day, Dochen Shalmei Chagiga L'mocha. We push off the carbon shlomim that is a chagiga until Sunday. Because you can pay back the carbon chagiga for 7 days. V'chein hakel esa'om. Also, where it's going to Rashi me now. V'chein hakel esa'om. Also, the mitzvah of hakel. That happened on the last day of Shmini Atzeres. Kidiksiv Mikei Sheva Shanim Moed Shnas Ashmita. Quoting the Psukim in Dvarim Yirala Pasuk Yud. Kida Aminu Mesechta Sota. Interestingly enough, tomorrow's daf.
Yeah.
But tomorrow's daf Megilah. What's tomorrow?
Oh yeah, because 49 is next Wednesday.
Tomorrow's daf. It's tomorrow.
Wait.
It's tomorrow.
Today's that.
Today's daf. That Megilah was today.
Right.
It's today's daf. I'm sorry. Today's daf. Shaya Melech Kori Torah Sefer Mishnah Torah. That's today's daf, right? That he used to read Mishnah Torah. And the whole nation was chayiv to bring even the little children. Famous statement of Rashi over there in the Chumash. Whoa, what's the point of bringing babies? Taf, the Ramban asks, is a taf mamish? Taf means literally swaddled in diapers. Yeah, even that. To give schar to those who bring them. And on Shabbos, you can't do that. So they did it the next day. Why couldn't they do it on Shabbos? What? Ain't Shabbos b'migdash? What? Whatever you want to say. You're signing the walled city. Okay. Oh, he says in Gemorah, Yerushalmi b'faresh, the law of dinalei b'Shabbos, b'nei habima. Oh, why didn't they do it on Shabbos? Because they had to have a bima shel eitz. They had to build a big platform where the melech sat on the platform and he read the Torah. It's interesting. He sat. He didn't stand. Okay. But he read the kid. Nan bima shel eitz hayosim lamela bazar v'yoshev aleh. He would sit at that time. It's interesting. When he read for Hakel, there was sitting. But the Chaber brings down in Ilchos Kriyas HaTorah that when it comes to Kriyas HaTorah today, you're supposed to stand. Okay, you don't get a question of standing for the whole Aliyah, but we paskin that for Baruch Hu, you should stand. Okay, so make the platform the day before. You can't make it on Yom Tov. Make it the day before. Oh, the Azara would get too crowded. Now, the truth of the matter is, you can ask good kasha. We said that the Azara had a miracle, but no matter how many Jews came into the Azara, everybody had enough room, omdim, spufim, umistachavim, levachim, right? They stood close to each other, but they were able to bow with plenty of room. So what are you telling me is the chikalei? Yeah, that's only if there were people there. But if you're going to build a big structure and you're going to put it in the middle, that's not going to be Benes. So therefore, they couldn't narrow down the room. Okay, the Velomag Daminan time for his Gemorah. Gemorah is going to explain why you can't do it earlier. Back to the Mishnah. Okay. All right. We're in the middle of the Mishnah. We're now on the 5th line down in the Mishnah. Even though on these days of Purim, when they would read the Megilah earlier, nevertheless, on those days, mutarin behesped uvetanis umatanas levyonim. Okay, we'll discuss matanas levyonim later. Amar Rabbi Yehuda said, Amosai, when do we say that these rules apply? Makom shtenichnasim b'sheni v'chamishi, where everybody would get together for market days on Mondays or Thursdays. Where it wasn't market days, then they would only read it on the right time, which is the Zman of 14 and 15. Okay. All right. Mishnah. We finished. The Gemorah. All right, let's go to the Gemorah. Tana, we learned in a Brisa, Asar Batlanim, Shabbeis HaKnesses. When we say Asar Batlanim, it means that there were 10 Batlanim in the shul. On Purim, we go earlier and don't go later. Why don't we go later? Why can't we read, if you can't read the Megilah on the 14th or 15th, why not read it on the 16th? He says, my timer, I'm going to be Abba, I'm a Shmuel, I'm a Kra, below Yavar, because the Pasuk says that these days of Purim are part of the Jewish people. Below Yavar, they will never be passed by, meaning you're not going to have it later than the 14th or the 15th. Now, Rabbi Abba said in the name of Shmuel, this is amazing. This next statement of Rabbi Abba Amar Shmuel has nothing to do with the previous statement. It's nothing to do with Mesechta Megilah. What's it doing over here? Should know that when Chazal put together the Gemorah, they put the Gemorah together in a Torah Shebal Peh way. What do you mean Torah Shebal Peh? That people are going to say, wait a minute, this sounds disjointed. One thing has nothing to do with the other. Why are these things together? Why? Why? Oh, so here's the answer. Because it was done in a way that people would have a way to remember that we're dealing with Torah Shebal Peh. What's that? People are going to say, what does this next statement have to do with Purim? Nothing. So why is it here? Take a look why. Because the statement we just made was Rabbi Abba Amar Shmuel. So now, once we mention Rabbi Abba Amar Shmuel, we're going to lump a few statements of Rabbi Abba Amar Shmuel together so that we should remember that this is part of Torah Shebal Peh. Rabbi Abba Amar Shmuel, Minayin, from where do we know, right? She'ein monin yomim l'shanim, that we don't count days for years. What does that mean? You don't count days for years. We'll see in the Rashi in a minute. Okay, Shene'amar, and he says the reason that we don't count days for years is because the pasuk says Shene'amar l'chodshei hashana, because it says Vishonu lachem l'chodshei hashana atamona l'shanim. You count months for years, v'yatamona yomim l'shanim, but you don't count days for years. What's this business of counting days for years? Rashi in the Gemara, the first wide line in the Rashi, we go back to the statement of Asar Batlonin. What's Batlonin? They are free from work. V'nizonin mishel tzibur, and the tzibur pays them. They give them zonos. Yeah. Today, liyos mitzuyin b'tfilah b'beis hakneses, so that they should be found in the shul for davening. The Amar, like we quoted before, he gets angry, and they are mevatel the anger of HaKadosh Baruch Hu because he was playing from the Sivsei Chachamim. Now, minayin she'ein monin yom l'shamim. From where do we know that you don't count days for years? When would we ever think that there is such a thing as counting days for years? Says Rashi, Kagon de Omar. Here's a fellow who came along and he said, Konein yayin sha'ani toim l'shana. He makes a neder that he's not going to taste any wine l'shana for a year. Mona yud beis chodesh miyom liyom. He counts 12 months from the day he made the neder. Ve'im nodar be'echad b'Nisan, and if he made a neder on the first day in the month of Nisan, Asar ad echad b'Nisan haba. He's forbidden until the next Nisan. Even though there are 11 more days in the sun cycle than there are in 12 months of the moon cycle. The solar year is what? 365. The lunar year, 354. There are 11 days every year we lose, right? Oh, or the other way around. Sometimes we make the months less or a month extra. Doesn't matter. It goes day to day in the Hebrew calendar. Months, we don't add days. We only count by months. Aleph Nisan is Aleph Nisan. That's it. No matter what. No matter what. Okay. Anyway, it's interesting. Let's go to the next one. Then we'll make a comment. Let's go to the next one. The next one says in the Gemara, okay, the second line of the wide lines, the Rabbanon the Kisri, the Rabbanon of Caesarea, Mishum Rebbe Abba Omru. Again, here's the Rebbe Abba, right? From where do we know that you don't figure out hours for months? Where's that going to come up? We'll see in the Rashi. Shenemar ad chodesh yomim. Because it says over there in Bamidbar that they ate the fat birds ad chodesh yomim for a month of days. Yomim atam machashel chadashim. You count days to months. But you don't count hours to month. What is this? Says Rashi, Shos lachadashim, the fourth wide line, Kagon, Ha'omer, here's the case. And it comes at La Halacha. A man says to his wife, Ze gitech, here's your get. Im lo basi mikan ad chodesh zeh. If I don't come by this month, right? If I don't come until this month. Now he gave it to her, and here's your get. And if I don't come back by Chodesh Adar or Nisan, whatever, here's your get. Chodesh Choser, and the previous month was 29 days. And he came at the end of the 29th day. Ein omrim, we don't say Adayin hu b'toch hachodesh. He's still within the month. Shaharei chodsha shelevana choftei shom u'mechza. Because the new month is always 29 and a half days. So now let's see what happened like this. The 29th day was the end of the month. But the truth of the matter is that the moon goes around the earth 29 and a half days. So in other words, the end of the 29th day is not yet the next month because he still has another 12 hours. It's not exactly 12 hours. Okay, now there's a fascinating Gemorah in Rosh Hashanah dealing with this particular statement. No, it has to do with the fact that the moon goes around the sun a total of 29 and a half days. Not exactly, by the way. There's a Gemara over here in Rosh Hashanah, Daf Chaf Hey. Daf Chaf Hey Amar Aleph, the Gemara says like this, okay? Amalem Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Gamliel made a statement to the Chacham. Listen to this. Kach mekublani mi beis avi Abba. I have a Kabbalah from my grandfather's house, the house of the Nasi of Rabbi Gamliel. Ein chidusha shelevana. The renewal of the month is no less chusa me esrim v'tisha yom umechza. It's never less than 29 and a half days. Watch this. Ushnei shlishi sha'ah. What's that? 2/3 of an hour. The ayin gimel chalokim. And 73 chalokim out of 1,080 chalokim. So wait a minute. Rabbi Gamliel had a tradition from his grandfather's house, from the Avi Abba, right? And Hillel and Ossi, all going back, that the moon cycle was 29 and a half days plus 2/3 of an hour plus 73 of 1,080 chalokim. That's why you'll hear the Megilah that Zayin with Zivin chalokim noch whatever. Chalokim. Unbelievable. Okay, so if you have a chance, you go on online, you look up a website called Priority One. Okay, yeah, and you look up this statement in the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah of how the Jews knew that the lunar calendar was 29 and a half plus X amount of hours and minutes. What's the Chiddush? The Chiddush is this. The Chiddush is this, that when they finally landed on the moon, and they finally landed an astronaut on the moon, there's always been a discussion over all the centuries of exactly how long it takes the moon to go around the Earth. So they decided they're going to put mirrors down on the moon, and they're going to reflect them back to Earth. And through the reflection of the mirrors back to Earth, they're going to calculate using mathematical techniques exactly how long it takes for the moon to go around the Earth. And they ended up with the conclusion that it was 29.5, which of course, 29 and a half days, 0.530588, okay?
Wow.
Now, that means that the calculation that Rabbi Gamliel made in the Gemara Rosh Hashanah is 1/6 millionth to the exact point that they figured out from NASA when they landed a man on the moon. This is a very important thing to keep in mind. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. We, the Jewish people, have had in possession for over 2,000 years from Rabbi Gamliel that this is the exact amount of time it takes for the moon to go around the Earth. And NASA finally figured it out when they sent a man to the moon. They put some mirrors and they did it through mathematical calculations, and they found out, hey, wait a minute, there was a Jew here before us. You know, Rabbi Gamliel got it before us. So it's important to keep in mind. I'll direct you again. It's called Priority 1. You can look it up, okay? And it's within 1/6 millionth of the calculation that Rabbi Gamliel gave over there in the Gemorah in Rosh Hashanah. I thought that was fascinating. Okay, all right. See, that's something here in the Gemara. Okay, now we go a little further. Okay, back to the Gemara. Aval zman atzei kahanim v'tisha b'av v'cha. What time do you usually have, Mary? Quarter to?
Quarter to, yes.
Quarter to? Okay. Yeah. Aval zman atzei kahanim v'tisha b'av, but the time of bringing the wood for the kahanim and Tisha B'av v'chagiga v'hakel ma'achim v'lo makdimin. Okay. Now, okay, let's analyze. Why do we always push these things off? Why not make them earlier? She explains. Tisha B'av, what do you mean make Tisha B'av earlier? Why would you want to do that? Akdumi puranios lo makdimi. You don't bring punishment earlier. Who knows? Well, we're going to fast. Let's say Tisha B'Av's on Friday. Let's just say, okay, it's not good. Let's say Tisha B'Av's on Friday. So we're going to fast Thursday. Why? Because it's going to be Tisha B'Av. Wait a minute. Shiur can come tomorrow morning. You're not going to have to fast. You can't do that. You can't bring Peranius before. Maybe it won't happen, right? Okay. All right, Chagiga. What about the Karma Chagiga? Why not bring that earlier? Or the Hakel. Why can't you do Hakel earlier? It's the Gemara. You can't do a mitzvah if the zman of the mitzvah did not yet come. It's that portion. Okay. Okay. Says Rashi. Says Rashi over here. Okay. Akati lo mata zman chiyuvayu. 5 lines down, 6 lines down in this Rashi. Ve'im yakdi muha. Lo yatsu yidei chavasan. If you bring it early, you're not going to fulfill the mitzvah. V'chein atzei kahanim she kavua lehem zman kavua b'nedarim. It's a set time. Back to the Gemara. The Gemara picks it up where we just left off. Says the Gemara. Chagiga v'hakel mishum dakad l'mod zman kaviyai. Tana. We learn the advice like this. We're now 6 lines down in the wide lines. Tana. Chagiga v'chol zman chagiga v'achman. Not only do you push the Chagiga later, but even the Zman of the Chagiga you push later. Ask the Gemara, Bish, Lama Chagiga, I can understand that you push the Chagiga later, the Imikla B'Shabsa, that if the first day of Yom Tov falls on Shabbos, Ma'achmin La, the Basa Shabsa. I understand why you're going to put it off till after Shabbos. Ella Zman Chagiga. Okay, you say Chagiga, you got to push off. Okay, because you're not supposed to on Shabbos shech the carbon that can be shechted tomorrow. Okay, so I understand why you push it off till after Shabbos. Ella Zman Chagiga Mahi. What's it talking about when it said the Zman Chagiga goes later? What does that refer to? It is what he meant to say in the Brisa. Chagiga b'Shabbos, the Chagiga of Karban Shabbos, the Karban Chagiga that comes on Shabbos, because it's the first day of Yom Tov, the olas re'iyah and the carbon olas re'iyah. Now, whenever you come to the Beis HaMikdash on Yom Tov, you have to bring two carbonas. One, you have to bring a carbon chagiga that we just learned, right? In addition, you can't show your face empty-handed. You have to bring an olas re'iyah. Olas re'iyah means a carbon ola that you're here, to show you're here. You have to be a carbon ola, okay? So he says, even on Yom Tov, the Zman Chagiga, which is the Zman Chagiga, ma'achrin. You push it off. You push the olas re'iyah off. You don't bring the olas re'iyah on Yom Tov. Now, if you have a Yom Tov that's not Shabbos, let's say, example, okay, let's say Shavuos. Let's say Shavuos comes on Wednesday, okay? When you come to the Beis HaMikdash, you bring a carbon chagiga. Can you shech that carbon chagiga, which is a shlamim, on the first day of Yom Tov? Why not? Why not? Can you shech the carbon ola on that day? Why? What? No, ochel nefesh. There we go. Oh, if it's a shlamim, so and it comes to a carbon shlamim, who eats the carbon shlamim? People who bring it, the kahanim, everybody gets a share. It's called a shlamim because it may be shalom bein avinu shabbat shemayim and all Klal Yisrael. Everybody gets a piece. The kahanim get a little, the people get a little. Everybody is enjoying it. It's a big barbecue. Everybody's a feast over there, right? But an olah, nobody gets anything, right? So you can't use the concept of ochel nefesh. So since you can't use the concept of ochel nefesh, you can't bring a carbon olah. And we're going to see that this has another aspect also. Says the Gemorah, mani, and who does this go like that says you take the carbon chagiga and you take the carbon olas re'iyah and you push it off? Beis Shammai. It's according to Beis Shammai, Ditnan, because the Gemara Chagiga says Beis Shammai Omer, Mevi and Shlamim B'Yom Tov. You can bring a carbon shlamim on Yom Tov because it's ochel nefesh. However, ain't somchan aleim. You can't lean on the animals. Smicha, we think of smicha. You go to yeshiva and you get smicha to become a rabbi. Smicha here refers to putting the hands on the animal. A person is, like Rav Shmuel says, he's transferring his symbolic guf onto the animal. So the smicha, but ain't something aleim. But you're not allowed to lean on an animal on Yom Tov or on Shabbos. Why can't you lean on an animal? Because it's mistamshis b'valei chayim. You're not allowed to make use of a bal chay on Shabbos. If a person has a dog, same thing. Shabbos, same thing.
Shabbos do vegetarian.
No. Mistamshis b'val chay. Shabbos and Yom Tov, the same thing. If you have a dog, you're not supposed to pet it on Shabbos. It's a challenge for people who have dogs. Okay, all right. So he says, "Ain't someone aleim." Avalo olos. The Shammai says you can't even bring olos. Beis Hillel omem mevi and shlamim v'olos or something aleim. You can bring shlamim, you can bring olos, and you can do smicha. Says that Rashi. Okay, says Rashi. Okay, we're going to learn the Rashi on this, right? We're going to go down in the Rashi. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines down. Second word, Bishlam Chagiga, Diktani Achrin, Ikla B'Shabbos. I understand. When it comes to Chagiga, if Yom Tov falls on Shabbos, we cannot do it because you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to bring it on Shabbos, only on Yom Tov. But when it comes to the Olas Shia, afilu b'Yom Tov, there's man chagiga, even on Yom Tov, when you can bring a karma chagiga, you can't bring the Ola. Shemuta lahaktiv shalmei chagiga. You're allowed to bring the carbon shlamim, va'afilu achim achmin Olas Shia at Chol HaMoed. But you don't bring the Olas Shia until Chol HaMoed, or by Shavuos until after Shavuos. Listen to the Braisa. Chagiga ma'achrin. You make the chagiga the next day. For od yesh davar achar sheyigi is mano. Right. There's another thing Uzman comes and Ma'achrin also Yom Afshu Uzman Chagiga. Even though it's Uzman Chagiga, you have to push it off. The Ezozu Olas Re'iyah. That's the Olas Re'iyah. Shehu Chovas Regel. It's the Chiyuv of the Regel. Kediksiv Lo Yera'u Panai Reikam V'Amamina Mesechta Chagiga. And we say Mesechta Chagiga Lo Yera'u Panai Reikam V'Olos Uzvachim Afilu Hachi. Nevertheless, B'Yom Tov O Karva. You can't bring it on Yom Tov, even though you can't go empty-handed. Ubei that goes like Shammai. The Amri a Makrivim the Yom Tov Ola. You can't bring a carbon Ola. Hayachola Lovo Lemachar, which is capable of being bought the next day. Even if it's a Chola Chovas Regel. Maybe in Shlama b'Yom you're allowed to bring carbon Shlama on Yom Tov. Why? Shei Michael Adam b'Yom Tov, because that's Michael Adam. Uksiv Acha She'yachal L'chol Nefesh. The ain't Somchen Aleim. According to Beis Shammai, you can't make smicha. Shasmicha shvusi. Smicha is a shvus, meaning it's a midrabanan gezeiret. Ditnan elu ein mishum shvus lo rochen al gabe behema. You're not allowed to ride a behema. It's midrabanan. Va'al elu sheyikru v'yom tov yismechu me'esmol. They would do smicha the day before. The leislahu lebeis Shammai take of smicha shchita. There's a discussion in the Gemorah about when the smicha has to be done. There's a machlokas whether the smicha must be done right before the shchita or you can do it even earlier. Avalo olos ein meviyin the savri lachem v'lo l'gvoa because Beis Shammai holds asher yochel lachem what you're allowed to eat that you could bring on Yom Tov. But what the carbon ola, which you're not eating, you can't bring. So how come Beis Hillel permits it? Well, Beis Hillel omrim mevi and shlamim va'olos umani mekayim lachem v'lo l'nachmim. You, but not goyim.
Could Beis Hillel bring oros and Yom Tov?
Yeah. You can bring a carbon ola on Yom Tov too, because it's only not goyim. That's all. Okay. All right. Okay. Right now. Okay, so we're going to stop over here. I'm just going to mention that I'm making a mark right here. Okay, now I'm leaving you with the following thought. We had a question when it said in the Brisa Chagiga v'chol zman Chagiga Achrin. We had one answer just now. When it said Kol Zman Chagiga, it meant the Zman of the bringing of the Olas Re'iyah that comes with the Chagiga. It doesn't refer literally to the Chagiga. The Gemara is going to provide us with two more answers, which we'll pick up at the beginning of next week's Shiur Yetz Hashem, starting with Rava Omar, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines from the bottom. Rava Omar, the second one. Tananya Menakasha Omer, Rotza HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Zakon says Yisrael, Levika Chibel and Torah Mitzvah, Shneimar, Adonai Chavei Tzaman Tzidko, Yagdil Torah V'Yadir.
No, not there.
Yeah, say Kaddish, yeah. Amen. Hey, Shnei.
That's what I want to know. Amen.